Hi, and welcome to this lesson where we're going to be talking about how to differentiate and brand yourself as a strategist. So you're probably thinking, like, why do I really have to differentiate myself even further from the other strategists? Like, isn't strategy just enough? And yes, strategy is going to be very, very powerful to set you apart and to get you those like higher end clients. But it's so much more powerful, and the selling really just comes so much easier when you can really make yourself distinctive from the outside, and you can make your website and your positioning sell themselves. So let's talk about how to differentiate yourself. So the first thing before you do anything is you really need to understand the basics. Like, don't dismiss all of this branding knowledge that you now have, and don't just not do it on yourself. You need to make sure that you really understand who you are. So I always say it's best to do the strategy session on yourself. Talk with someone and practice a strategy session with someone in this group. You can find people in the Facebook group, and you can just do like a practice strategy session, and they can do a strategy session on you. And then you can do a strategy session on them in return, and you can really be able to understand a lot more of who you are when you're able to talk through things with somebody else. A few things that you really need to understand before you do anything in your positioning is: who is your ideal client? How are you different than your competition? And what is your voice? Those are the things you really need to understand. So once you do that strategy session, you really need to understand your own voice and your personality and the strengths that it's going to serve in your business. And you're probably like, why does my personality need to come out? Like, I really just want to stay professional and that's it. But I've noticed that especially as you start to grow and you start to demand that premium price, it really does have an effect to your personality and how you connect with clients on demanding that premium price. You're going to be able to get so many better reviews, so many better referrals when you connect with people and you like really filter in your personality through who you are and into your positioning. So, and this was the best way for me to really understand what my voice was to take this quiz. This is like just a free quiz that you can take. It's really about for people who are presenting and teaching, but it really helped me understand like how I best give information and what my voice is. And what was really shocking to me is I'm really attracted to the opposite personality presenter type that I am. And so that's someone that I kept trying to come off as, because I'm incredibly attracted to that. But that's not necessarily my strength, was to present and talk and come off in that style. My strength was actually the total opposite. So even though I'm attracted to that, I needed to do what was best for me. And I needed to focus and have a much different voice, because it was going to come off so much more authentically than presenting in the way that I was really, really attracted to. So definitely take this quiz and figure out, okay, what is my voice? What is the best way that I can present information on my site, on my positioning, and social media? This is really, really going to help you. So now that you know all those basics of like who you are and how to get started in that, now you can really focus on actually differentiating yourself and positioning yourself as a personal brand strategist. So how do we actually do that? So there are 3 levels that you want to differentiate your business's positioning on. The 3 levels are what you sell, who you sell it to, and how you fulfill what you sell. For example, what you sell is branding, marketing, strategy, etc. Who you sell it to, you can sell it to experts. This is really who your niche is. Experts, pharma, speakers, banks, whatever. How you fulfill what you sell. And this is kind of like where your brand strategy superpower that we talked about in the very first lesson, how to add a strategist to your handle and how to become a strategist, is really where you're going to capitalize on that and how you fulfill what you sell. So like, we believe in the power of rumor. We believe that brands that inspire and making a difference in the world, like whatever your belief and how you fulfill X, Y, and Z above, that's how you really need to differentiate yourself. Now, ideally, you want 2 out of the 3 areas to be different than your competitors. So 2 out of these 3 sections you want to be totally different, something that nobody else can really claim to. So for me, I do branding, design, plus websites. I sell it to experts, thought leaders, and educators. And I focus on being different and slightly rebellious. So you can see that I have the bottom 2 tiers. Those are really differentiated for me. The top one, not so much. It's kind of something that vague and everybody could do. But the bottom 2 are really what set me apart in my positioning. So let's talk about how to position yourself on each and every level. What you sell. Again, this is like graphic plus imagery, branding. If you're a full service branding firm, marketing plus brand design, whatever it is that you actually sell, the product and service. Now, this is most commonly the least differentiating factor. A lot of the times, it's okay for this differentiating factor to be a little bit vague if it's not something that really sets you apart, if it's something that a lot of people in your industry do. But if you provide more than one service, capitalize on that. Are there 2 areas that you have expertise on that you could put together? Capitalize on that, like marketing and branding. What about like social media branding or online course branding? Like, see where you could really capitalize on what it is specifically that you sell and niche within the branding industry. Now, next, we're going to move on to who you sell to. Now, again, this is your niche or industry like pharma, educators, credit unions, motherhood, e-commerce, clothing, beauty, etc., all those types of things. And I know what you're probably thinking, like, Carly, I don't want to leave anybody out. Like, I like working with this person and I like working with this person and I da-da-da-da. And what if I like this and what if I like that? There's so many things out there, and I totally get and I understand that. But when you niche down and you really clarify who it is that you're talking to, you're not actually, a lot of people think that they're just like walking into a dark closet where there's going to be no opportunities, where they're going to get bored and there's going to be no further problems to solve. It's just going to be the same thing over and over again. But what they don't actually realize is that their closet that they're walking into that seems dark and cramped is actually leading to freaking Narnia. The Narnia of opportunities, where you really get to let your creativity just shine and burst open. There's so many more fun opportunities when you niche down, because instead of spreading yourself thin and taking things here and taking things there and like solving different problems from here and there, instead of going this way, you get to really dive deep and go into one subject, and the things that you'll find are going to be limitless. It's going to be amazing for your creativity, and I promise you're not going to get bored. It's going to be the complete opposite for you. And it's okay if you don't know right now who you want to work with. Even last year, I was still trying to figure out who I wanted to niche down on. It's taken me like 3 years to really figure out what my industry and what my niche is. And that's okay. I think as long as you go into it knowing that eventually you should pick a niche and you should pick a person or a type of people to work with. I think it's something that happens naturally as you gain a lot of experience. You understand who you like to work with and who you don't. But if you're struggling and you want to know how to find a niche, I have a few tips for you. So find a niche that doesn't have a ton of competition. This is something that like everyone is doing, but you want it to have enough competition where you know it's a valid market and there are people to like push up against. You also want something that you have expertise in and that you thoroughly enjoy. If you're going to be going this deep into something, you need to really actually enjoy it and you need to have that expertise. Lastly, it needs to have meaning and not be too vague of a niche. Things like women, baby boomers, millennials, those things don't really mean a lot to companies. They're not going to necessarily care whether or not you work for women or men, especially when like 70% of the buying market is women. It's like, okay, cool. Like everybody needs to really be marketing to women, or millennials and baby boomers, they just maybe don't have enough in common. It's too vague and it doesn't have enough meaning together. So now let's move on to the next one, how you fulfill what you sell. This is like going to be a lot about like your mission statement and what makes you unique and things, and like focusing on making it rebellious, like we focus on service first, whatever it is. And I talk all about this in the very first lesson. Refer to the lesson why everyone should add strategist to the end of their title, no matter what type of creator you are, and how to do that. I really focus in on how to find your strategist superpower. So if you're wondering how to do this, go refer back to that lesson and come back and add this here. So just to do a really quick recap, first, you need to do a strategy session on yourself and understand the basics of who you are. Fill out the brand carry-all for yourself. What I did is I worked with a coach. I had her run through my process with me, and then I filled out the brand carry-all myself. You could just run through it with one of the students in the course and then fill out the brand carry-all yourself. Understand your voice. Take that quiz. Also, you need to differentiate yourself in 3 different areas once you understand that. What you sell, who you sell it to, and how you fulfill what it is that you sell.